Greetings, Mr. Ronks here with yet another video for you. In this video, I'm gonna rank all the live-action Batman movie costumes. That's right, Batman's costume from the live-action movies. Only live-action feature films. No cartoons, no TV shows, no games, none of that. Also, I will only rank the main costumes from these various movies, not any secondary costumes as we saw, for instance, in the two Joel Schumacher movies. Only the primary bat suits. I'm ranking them from worst to best. Now, of course, these are just my opinions. And feel free to rank all the live-action Batman movie costumes down in the comments if you so wish. And let's start off with my least favorite of all the live-action Batman movie costumes. And that is the Adam West costume from Batman the movie from 1966. Yes, I know, a lot of you are probably upset now because a lot of people, including myself, love Adam West Batman, that show. One of the things, however, that I've never liked from that show, or the spin-off movie, is Batman's costume. I hate it. I think it looks like crap. Yeah, it's based on the Silver Age looking Batman, but it does a terrible job in adapting it, in my opinion. It's an awful looking suit. It looks like something Bruce Wayne bought at a costume shop. A very cheap costume shop. It's so cheap looking. And that's pretty strange, because a lot of the other costumes on the show look great, including Robin's costume. Robin's costume looks way better than Batman's, in my opinion. And of course, a lot of the villains look way better than Batman. It's just everything about it just looks so cheap and mediocre, especially the mask. The mask looks terrible. I hate these drawn-on lines he has on the face of the mask. What are those supposed to be? Are they supposed to be like the shadows, the shading that Batman often has on his mask in the comics? If so, it looks terrible. And the taped-on ears on the sides, the short, stubby, taped-on ears on the sides, wow. It really looks like a kid made the suit. And again, I'm not knocking this movie or the show this costume appeared in, and you know me, I love the 60s TV show. And I love a lot of the visual designs for the characters on that show, but not Batman, not Batman. He looks terrible in my opinion. The cape and the tights, all of it's just so cheap looking. And even the logo is cheap looking. It's way too small, it's tiny, and it's way too low down. I mean, it's here or something. It's more on his stomach than his chest. It's a stomach symbol, not a chest symbol. Just awful, just awful. They could have done better. They did the other costumes better. They could have done better for Batman. I don't know why they settled for this crap. And the next one is the George Clooney costume from the movie Batman and Robin. Now, of course, I am specifically talking about his primary costume, not the ice costume he wears in the finale of the movie. I don't like that one either, though, by the way, in case you were wondering. Yeah, the primary Bat costume from that movie. It's definitely a downgrade from the previous costumes. It's extremely boring looking. It's completely black. Now, I often said I like an all-black costume for Batman, but when I say all black, I don't mean literally all black. I want some yellow or gold or whichever you want in there. But there's nothing like that in the George Clooney costume. It's all just one color, black, all of it, including the logo. And even his belt, it's all black. And it's not like the logo is the more modern logo, it's the classic round oval logo. You shouldn't make that one black. That doesn't make any sense. It needs the yellow. And of course we have the nipples, the notorious nipples. Did not originate with this costume, by the way, but they're on there, and he's way too muscular. The body, the torso is sculpted way too muscular looking. It just looks kind of weird. It kind of looks like they focused on trying to make him look sexy rather than intimidating, which you really shouldn't do for Batman. Just a pretty bad suit that George Clooney was forced to wear in this movie. And let's move on to the next one, and that is Val Kilmer's suit from Batman Forever. It's a very similar case to the previous one. It's basically the same suit except for the logo. The logo for Val Kilmer actually did have yellow around the symbol, which is definitely a plus. The belt, however, was not yellow. It's just black, like the rest of his costume, for some weird reason. Again, you have the same issues as with the Clooney suit. The nipples, way too muscular, looks too sexy and not intimidating. I will say though that Kilmer wears the suit a bit better than Clooney. Clooney looks a bit too scrawny. Kilmer looks a bit beefier and bigger in the costume. Let's move on. The next one is the Ben Affleck suit from whatever movies he appeared in. Who cares? The DCEU crap. A lot of people absolutely love this costume, so again, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for not liking it. I don't like it. The reason, of course, a lot of people love it so much is because it's kinda comic accurate. It's not all black, it has gray. The bodysuit is gray, and it has the short stubby ears that Batman has in a lot of comics. Notoriously in Frank Miller comics, which of course the movies that the suit appeared in takes a lot of inspiration from, or at least Batman v Superman. Now, I don't like Batman with short stubby ears. I like him to have long ears, so that's obviously a minus for me right there. And while in theory I thought a grey looking bodysuit would work really well for Batman in a live action movie, in a serious live action movie, seeing it, having seen it on the screen, it just kinda doesn't. Not for me anyway. It looks kinda silly when he's hiding in the shadows and things like that, and you have him really stick out with this bright body. It really should be all black for situations like that. And I don't know, Ben Affleck just looks kinda awkward in the suit. He looks kinda fat in the suit. The suit looks more fat rather than muscular. I just think he looks silly in it instead of intimidating. And I really don't like the giant Dark Knight Returns inspired logo on his chest. I have never liked the artwork from that comic. And this suit in these movies is mainly based on that artwork. Yeah, sorry Batfleck suit fans. It's just not for me. And the next one is the Christian Bale suit from The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. The second suit Bale wore. Now we're getting to the suits that I kinda like. I'm not a giant fan of this particular suit though, but I think it works. I do really appreciate the fact that it was the first movie Batman costume that made it possible for the actor to actually turn his head. Kind of crazy that it took them so long to figure that out. But there's just too much going on the costume, too much details and different parts and things. A lot of people often describe it as looking more like a SWAT armor, and I agree with that. It really does look more like SWAT armor than a superhero costume. That's clearly what Nolan was going for, but that doesn't mean I have to love it. I'm not a big fan of the tiny logo either. It's so tiny you can barely see it. I do of course appreciate the fact that the belt is actually gold and not just black. Yeah, it's an okay movie Batman costume, but I think Nolan focused way too much on the practicality here with this one rather than visuals. And also, I think it makes Bale look a bit too scrawny. And the next one is Robert Pattinson's suit from the upcoming movie The Batman, upcoming at the time of the making of this video. While you're watching it, the movie might already be out. Now, of course, I can't quite judge this costume yet because the movie isn't out yet. But what I've seen so far I really like. Ironically, I didn't like it at all at first when the first images were released and the first trailer came out. I thought it looked awful. But after having seen the costume in the second trailer, just like everything else in that trailer, it just looks better. It makes me like it more. It's a very unique looking Batman costume, and I'm starting to really appreciate that actually. I mean, at this point, what are you supposed to do after so many movies? Are you supposed to do the same old thing again? What were they going to do? You need to do something new, and this suit is really doing that. It's something new, but it's still clearly Batman. I think the mask looks really interesting for once, actually looking like leather or some kind of rough cloth. For once, instead of just rubber like it always does in the movies, the mask looks like something he'd actually have in the comics. And I think the very thin but long ears are incredibly interesting and inspired. That's something we've really never seen in anything, not even in the comics. These thin ears and also a collar, kind of Dracula-like, something brand new. And I really like how the costume looks kind of homemade, like Bruce has just taken different parts from here and there and put it together. I'm still not crazy about the very slim logo though, but at least it's something new, we haven't seen it before. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this costume in action in the movie. It's very possible that after having seen the film, that the ranking of this costume might change. It might either be higher or lower, who knows. And moving on to the next one, and the next one is Michael Keaton's costume from Batman 89, the first Keaton costume. A very classic, iconic looking Batman costume, all black, but with the yellow around the logo and a yellow belt. That's really my preferred looking Batman, all black with some yellow, and that's what this suit is. However, there are some issues with it that knock it down a bit for me. First of all, it looks a bit too bulky and uncomfortable and awkward for Michael Keaton. It clearly was, and you can see that. And I'm not crazy about the molded muscles on his body. It looks better than it does on the Val Kilmer and Clooney suits though. It looks less like they try to make him look sexy and more like they just try to make him look like a big, intimidating guy with a lot of muscles. But it's still not something I think they should really do. And moving on to the next one, the second Michael Keaton suit from Batman Returns. I think this is a vast improvement on the previous costume. It looks a lot sleeker and more comfortable to wear, and he can clearly move better in it. The mask especially looks more comfortable. It looked so big and bulky in the first movie, and they improved the body. They removed those molded muscles. It made it look more like grids, which I think looks really good. I much prefer that than to the anatomically correct costume. And the logo is better because it is the classic logo. They removed those extra tips they added to the logo on the first costume for some weird reason. Yeah, this is pretty much a perfect take on the all-black Batman costume with some yellow in it, which is my preferred version of his suit. And this one does it perfectly in my opinion. And finally, my favorite of all the live-action Batman movie costumes, and of course, by the process of elimination, you have obviously deduced that it is Christian Bale's suit from Batman Begins. Yes, that is indeed my favorite Batman movie costume. A pretty unpopular choice. A lot of people don't like this costume. I don't think that many would put it as their number one. But I have always loved this costume. It's the only movie costume, I feel, that actually makes Batman look scary and intimidating. And it fits the movie that it appears in really well too, because the core theme of Batman Begins is of course fear, and Bruce using fear as a weapon. So it's very fitting that the movie features the scariest looking Bat costume. Bruce is trying to look like some kind of supernatural bat monster, and this suit kind of accomplishes that. I love how it makes him look so big and beefy, but without a bunch of sculpted muscles. He doesn't look like a bodybuilder. He looks like just a big beast. And I love the huge panther neck that he has, with veins on it even, and this scary looking angry expression molded into the mask. And the horn-like ears. It really looks like some kind of demon from hell. And I think the logo looks much better on this one than it does on the second suit that Bale wears. It's much bigger and actually looks like the logo he has in a lot of comics, in a lot of modern comics. Now I prefer an oval logo with the yellow, but if you're gonna do the all black, this is the way to really do it. You gotta make it big so it really stands out. But it's not too big like the Affleck logo. And of course you don't have all those details and different parts from the second suit that Bale wore. This one just looks much better. Even though, yes, I know, he couldn't really turn his head in it. That's a shame, but what are you gonna do? Sometimes you gotta sacrifice practicality in order to make that actually look good in movies. I mean, movies aren't real life. It doesn't have to actually function in reality. Nobody's gonna wear these costumes and go out and fight crime in real life anyway. It's just for the movie. Yeah, it's a costume that makes Batman look big and scary, just like he's supposed to. And there you have it, my rankings of all the live-action Batman movie costumes. Again, let me know down in the comments what your ranking is. And of course, as always, remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.